The official notice from the Terran Integration and Welfare Authority, TIWA, arrived with a soft ping on Leo's data slate. He sighed, putting down his hydroponic nutrient sprayer. The small, self-contained habitat on the fringe colony of Xylos was his sanctuary, a quiet place to forget the noise and pressure of Earth. These well-being updates were always a nuisance. He tapped the screen. The message was brief and bureaucratic. Citizen Leonidas Leo Markov. Population analysis and psychometric profiling indicates a significant deviation from baseline human reproductive and companionship drives. To ensure your long-term well-being and in accordance with the Human Integration Act, a proactive social solution has been enacted. 2. Compatible consorts from the Kithri species have been assigned to your household. Their documentation and transport are attached. Arrival, today, 1400 hours Standard Colonial Time. Compliance is mandatory for continued Tier 1 residency benefits. Leo read it twice. Then a third time. His brain stuttered over the words. Reproductive needs. Assigned. Wives. They've got to be kidding me, he muttered to the empty room. This was some kind of glitch. A horrible, invasive, dehumanizing glitch. He was about to fire off a furious reply when a chime echoed from his front door. Too late. He opened it to find a bored-looking Tiwa drone floating in the air, and two figures standing behind it. They were small. Delicate. No taller than his chest, with slender limbs and large, luminous eyes the color of amethysts. Their skin had a subtle, opalescent sheen, and their hair was like spun silver, braided intricately. They wore simple, gray shifts and looked utterly terrified, clutching small travel bags to their chests. The Kithri. He'd seen them in the colony markets. They were a recently integrated, psionically gifted species known for their art and their quiet, communal culture. They kept to themselves. Leonidas Markov, the drone intoned. Please confirm receipt of your assigned dependents, Lilitha and Myrai. One of the Kithri, Lilitha according to the drone's data slate, flinched. The other, Myrai, stared at the floor, her shoulders hunched. A hot wave of anger and profound embarrassment washed over Leo. This wasn't just an invasion of his privacy, it was a transaction for them. They were being treated like cargo. There's been a mistake, Leo said, his voice tight. The Tiwa system does not make mistakes of this nature, the drone replied flatly. Their former clan unit was dissolved due to resource scarcity. Your profile indicates high stability and low social engagement, creating an optimal balance. Please sign. A holopad materialized in front of him. Refusing meant losing his habitat, his land grant, everything he'd built here. He felt trapped. With a grimace, he scrawled his signature. The drone departed with a cheerful, "Congratulations on your enhanced social fulfillment," leaving a stunned silence in its wake. The three of them stood in the doorway, a triangle of shared, awkward horror. Right, Leo finally said, rubbing the back of his neck. Look, I didn't ask for this. This is as weird for me as it is for you. You can come in. They shuffled inside, their eyes wide as they took in the modest living space. Leo's home was functional, a place for one. A single chair, a small table. Okay, new rule, Leo said, forcing a tone of practicality to mask his discomfort. No one is assigned to anyone. You are not my wives. You are my guests. Roommates. We'll figure it out. This is the main room. Kitchen's through there. One bedroom, it's mine. I'll set up the hydroponics bay as a second room for you too. He busied himself moving crates and setting up two portable cots, creating a semblance of privacy. The two Kithri women watched him, silent and unnerving. They communicated with glances, a slight tilt of the head, a tiny shift in posture. It was clear they were psionically linked. Days turned into a week, then two. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension. Leo went about his work, maintaining the habitat, tending his crops. Lilitha and Myrai kept to their converted room, emerging only for meals. They ate like birds, and jumped at the slightest noise. The breaking point came when Leo accidentally dropped a heavy tool in the workshop. The metallic clang echoed through the habitat. He heard a simultaneous gasp from the other room and rushed in to find the two of them huddled together, shaking. "I'm sorry," Leo said, his voice softer than he'd used with them before. "It was an accident. Just a tool." Lily, the slightly taller of the two, looked up at him. It was the first time she'd held his gaze for more than a second. "Loud noises, they are associated with bad memories," she whispered, her voice like the chime of a small bell. "The overseers on our homeworld," Myrai added, her voice even quieter. "They used sonic prods." A cold knot tightened in Leo's stomach. He knew the Kithri had been subjugated before joining the Galactic Commons, but the details were sanitized in the official bulletins. He wasn't just dealing with two shy aliens. He was housing two trauma survivors who had been yanked from their lives and dumped with a stranger because an algorithm said so. His anger at Tiwa reignited, but this time it was directed into purpose. He started small. He showed them how the food synthesizer worked, letting them choose their own meals. He gave them datapads with access to the colonial net, something they'd never had. He built them a proper partition for their room, with a real door. One afternoon, he found them looking wistfully at the vibrant, alien flora outside the habitat's viewport. "Do you like plants?" he asked. "Our clan were weavers of light silk," Lily said. "It requires specific spores to grow." An idea sparked. "Come with me." He led them to his hydroponics bay, the very place they now slept. He cleared a section of the tanks. "This is yours. If you can get the spores, you can grow your light silk here. This can be your space." It was as if he had turned on a light inside them. The change was immediate and profound. The fearful hunches straightened. Their large eyes, once wide with fear, now shone with a keen, intelligent interest. With Tiwa credits Leo insisted they use, they acquired a culture of Kithri spores. Under their care, the section of the hydroponics bay blossomed with delicate, bioluminescent fungi that stretched into fine, glowing threads. They began to weave, their fingers moving with an ancient, practiced grace. The soft, pulsing light filled the corner of the bay, and for the first time, a sense of peace settled over the habitat. They started talking to him, properly talking. They told him about the singing crystals of their homeworld, about their lost family, about their art. Leo, in turn, told them about Earth, about why he left the crowded cities, about his desire for a quiet, self-sufficient life. He learned their subtle language. A slight tilt of Lilitha's head meant she was amused. A specific blink from Myrai meant she was concentrating. He found himself looking for those signs, enjoying them. One evening, as the twin moons of Xylos cast their silver light through the viewport, they were sitting together. Myrai was weaving, Lilitha was cataloging spores, and Leo was repairing a relay. It was comfortable. Normal. Lilitha looked up from her work, her amethyst eyes serious. "Leo," she began. "The AI was wrong. It saw humans as a monolithic entity with primitive drives. It did not see you." "It didn't see you either," Leo replied. "It saw you as a resource to be reallocated." "But it was also right," Myrai said softly, her fingers stilling. "In its own flawed way. It knew you had a capacity to care for others. It knew we needed a place of safety." Lilitha nodded. "It called it a reproductive need. But that is not what this is. This is a protective need. A need to build. A need for a clan. You did not take us as wives. You gave us a home." Leo felt a lump form in his throat. They were right. The AI's cold, biological imperative had been wrong, but the human need for connection, for purpose, for family, in all its myriad forms, had found a way. Weeks later, the Tiwa drone returned for its mandatory follow-up assessment. It floated into the now transformed habitat. The main room was no longer sterile. Tapestries of woven light silk, depicting scenes from both Kithri myth and Xylos's landscapes, adorned the walls. The air smelled of the sweet Kithri spores and the earthy scent of Leo's vegetables. Lilitha and Myrai were at their loom, working in quiet harmony. Leo was at the table, assembling a new, more efficient irrigation system for their expanded gardens. The drone sensors whirred. Scanning. Social cohesion, high. Habitat improvement, 47% increase in efficiency and aesthetic score. Psychological markers for all occupants, within optimal parameters. The assignment is deemed a success. You're damn right it is, Leo said, not looking up from his work. The drone, incapable of understanding tone, processed the statement as agreement. The Tiwa is pleased with your enhanced social fulfillment. After it left, Leo walked over to the loom. He didn't say anything. He just placed a hand on Lilith's shoulder, and another on Myri's. They leaned into the touch, a soft, harmonious hum of contentment passing between them. It wasn't the life any of them had chosen. But together, in defiance of the algorithms and the arrogance of empires, they had built something better. They had built a family. And for the first time since he'd left Earth, Leo Markov felt like he was finally, truly, home.